Okay, as you may have noticed in my last video, I was a little upset about the walling at the moment. So this time, I'm gonna show you how to wall properly and when to wall. First walls you will probably build in a 3D game are your base walls. I do believe those are not very difficult to do. Okay, I don't have a 3D radius in this one, but you know, just do them properly, obviously. So you go for these double segments and delete pillars. But basically, you just get enough layers of this going for your base. That's not the most interesting part, though. Let's assume you are the player fighting in natives. So you have your base around here, blah blah, just some buildings. So which walls do you want? You want a wall to protect you from your left flank. You want a wall to protect you from your right flank. If possible, and you can push your opponent, you want walls on his side like this. Why? Simple reason. Walls for you do two things. One, they protect you. Two, they take space away from your opponent. So, if your opponent is fighting in this position and you wall right in his face, that means he can't move his units. So this wall is amazing if you get it up. But what does this wall do? Or this one? Do they take his space? No, they take yours. They take your space. So they're bad. You could use these to build a stable, you could use these to put units. Every wall that you put in your own way that is not meant to either protect you automatically or just annoy your opponent costs you time, wood, and extra wood for gates. So these ones, you never build. The only reason why you sometimes see me do like 2 layers maybe over here is when you play against an aggressive civ and it just requires more walls because you know the first one is not going to last very long. That's especially useful against like Spain, or maybe if you just lose the start fight very hard. Also, because of certain playstyles, it is always very smart to have a back wall like this. One is usually enough. If you're not sure about how cheesy your opponent plays, you can also do 2 back walls. Just as the more walls you do later, the more gates you have to play out, or like, yeah, afford once you fall back. So don't overwall there. If you really get pushed back and your opponent is now basing here, and this is like you have buildings here, then 2 to 3 walls should be the max you play with. Perhaps side walls over here because you don't want your opponent to go into the corners and like force him into the tower spot or something. That's okay. But you shouldn't overwall because it's just gonna make you pay more gates, and the more units you have on the gates, the more kills that your opponent's mortars will get. So yeah, don't overwall on this one either. When you play against a civ like Inca in the beginning of the fight, let's say here you have your skirmisher line, or like maybe even further back, but you know, then you should try to, oh boy, I think I must cheat quickly. Let's actually just do it quickly. What is the cheats? Speed always wins. Okay. And again. Okay, so let's just assume you have your horse artillery now and you have your skirms. So what you want to do in this case is you want to line up your skirms and leave space between your horse art and skirms, and then start walling like this between them. And then it is reasonable to do 2 layers at least, and probably like third one side wall, maybe even 4, because it's Inca, because you need to slow them down. So this makes sense. What doesn't make sense is when you start doing this. What does that do? The first wall could take space away from your opponent. The second takes your space. Third one as well. Fourth one is completely out of place. And fifth one is just completely random. And walls make games ugly, so try to like limit it to the ones that you really need. If you have like a central push in the open, same thing. You will have long walls. and reduce the fighting to the one spot where you want to have your towers shooting. And then you do the same thing again. You start doing one wall on their side, trying to take space from them. Now the route side is yours. If you move further forward, another one, you do it again, you take space from them. And you advance your base behind it, eventually. And again. And again. Until you can't anymore. Until you're at their walls. Obviously you could like do 4 layers depending on which position of the map you are, but you just want to slowly take away their room. It's not your goal to do this. That's just, like, that doesn't do it. That takes your space. That just fills the map with random buildings. You want to gain space and win the game, not paint the map with as many walls as possible. When you protect your side of the map, I've pretty much covered that. 2 walls make sense, because 1 wall you could just petard and run units in. 2 you should notice when something is attacking. Base behind, maybe a 3rd one to close this corner. Boom, you're done. If you're now a player who's aware of what's going on, you will catch things in time. If you now do this, it just becomes ridiculous. Because 1, it's super annoying to play in this whole area and you just lock down the map. 2, if someone really pushes you there, you don't even have space to defend yourself. It's just going to be like an absolutely retarded fight in all possible ways. And if this now got mortared, you defended successfully, then yes, re-wall, but re-wall properly. Don't re-wall like... They can just shoot this one pillar later and everything's gonna break. Wall properly. So far about walling.